I'm going to go ahead and start, and everything about CDI Apps for Good is a little disruptive, so I'm already going to make a correction. If you have ever heard Iris Lipinski speak, you will know she is a tall, young, blonde German woman, i.e. not me. My name's Debbie Forster. I am the COO at Apps for Good. I'm here to talk to you and to take sort of forward some of what's happened. Now, this isn't because Iris did not want to be here. It is because Iris is actually in Brazil, and that will make more sense in just a minute. Taking forward the discussion you've been hearing all day today, there are a number of problems and issues facing London, facing us globally, and really in terms of trying to look at it. If today's focus is about being futurist, about looking at the future, we need to understand, as Joe was alluding to earlier, part of that solution is going to be the people who are not in this room, and that's the young people. That's the young people who can, when they're not challenged, when they're not really engaged, can be part of a problem, whether it be looking at causing riots, but they can also be very much part of a solution. One of our taglines is creating apps that change your world. This is because what we do at Apps for Good is we work with schools, with young people as young as 11, as old as 25. I've brought along one of our old timers in the piece. We were aware we're one of the first sets of women to speak today, and you actually did realize, didn't you? You were one of the youngsters in the room, etc. But we're looking at, we need to go earlier and earlier back into the pipeline if we're really going to make a difference. Because what we do need is developers and coders, but actually at the heart of it, what we need are young people who are engaged and who are problem solvers. Now, where did this come from? Believe it or not, one of the things I love about this, it's why Iris is in Brazil, is that this came from the developing world. Long before Brazil was a brick economy, there was someone called Rodrigo Baggio, 16 years ago, who in the favelas of Rio wanted to make a difference to communities. He knew that there were communities of people who were disengaged, who were unhappy and had no way out. He started the program CDI. 16 years later, it's in 13 countries worldwide. It has reached millions. And in doing so, what the problem is, some principles arose. Our key principles are, first of all, that actually education is the key to unlocking problems, to making a real difference with young people within communities. To do that, you need to give them real-life problems. This is not about coming in to fix a group. This is about working with them to identify what the real problems are and to work to find solutions. And what Rodrigo realized even 16 years ago, that a key way of doing that was to use technology. One of the things we would say then is when it came across to Europe, then what are you going to do in Europe? Because actually, if you look at young people, we do have education. You can't go into a school, into a college in the UK and swing a cat without taking out a few pieces of technology. We definitely have that. So really, there should be no problems at all, should there? We should have young people who are engaged, who are excited, no problem. We know that's not the case. We know that we have a generation after generation of young people coming through education, many of whom are disengaged. They're being trained to work in exams where they have a preset number of questions that they need to memorize some answers. Some engage but are bored, some really disengage from that, and we need to turn that round. So what we did is when we came into the UK, we realized that actually young people today, whatever else they're going to have in their bags, in their pockets, they're going to have technology. What if we could turn that round? What if we could help them realize that that tool in their pocket meant they didn't just have to be a consumer? What if it meant that they could be a creator? What if we could develop a program that helped them to understand that they could choose a problem and not wait for it to be fixed, not just protest it as a problem that's unfair, but actually we could help them give the tools to begin finding solutions and creating solutions themselves. So we did work from that. What we really talk about sometimes is that we take our young people going from problem to prototype. We put them in teams. They will choose a problem or issue that matters to them. We absolutely are adamant. I'm from education myself. We tie the teacher's hands behind their back. We say to them, you cannot set the problem or issue. Let the young people find it. Now, if you get a little worried of, are they going to come up with silly problems? No, they cover all the problems that we want them to be looking at. It might be something like bullying. It could be health. It could be understanding your emotions. It could be resolving conflict. It could be about stop and search, our relationship with the police. All of those issues that we want to fix and do for young people, they want to find solutions themselves. While they're defining that, we ask them to go out and to use market research, talk to users, to find out all of the things that we've been hearing today about some of our most effective pillars of society. You've gone out. What we've heard this morning, you go out, you find out what does the user want? What is the problem that needs to be solved? Well, we're teaching young people to do that today. We then get them to moving into that meatier part of things, that solution design. Now, as they're doing that, we're using the latest thinking. This is about agile development. This is also looking at putting together business plans. It is starting to dip their toe in the water for dev skills. We're starting to use tools, yes, as much as you've heard at Code Camp, looking at things like HTML, CSS, but we're also getting them to think about the entrepreneurial, the lean startup model. We need problem solvers. We need people who aren't going to just wait to join some larger organization, but to start taking that to market themselves. We look at the product design, getting them to work with the various bits and pieces that are starting to look that together, and then throughout that we are, as I said, working on those solutions. So what you can have is a generation as young as 11 up to the age of 25 who are coming out, who are able to give Dragon's Den pitches, who are able to do their market research, develop the prototype for their app, and what we then do is work with them to help take it to market, and those young people own that. So, okay, now, when we look at that, there are lots of courses. There are lots of things that can go out and start these sorts of things. Why is it different? It's because it's no one person in the equation. What we've realized, the powerful part of the equation, is that we are joining educators within schools. Rather than stand outside throwing rocks at what happens with the schools, we are training teachers. So every teacher that you then train, you're not just affecting one Apps for Good group, you're looking at a generation of kids. Any average teacher might be teaching 1,000 kids a year. What I love is that we bring in our experts. Our experts, we have a growing number, I hope, maybe even within the room, that we'll have a growing number that might want to volunteer their time. We have people like Guy who regularly calls in, Skypes in from anywhere in the country. We have people from Thomson Reuters, who you heard from earlier, who will Skype in from New York to work with the team, to give them advice, to talk to them about what might be the technical feasibility of what they're doing, what are the things that they might think about in their market research to develop that. They're really coming together on that. We also have industry rolling up their sleeves, not just writing checks, but actually working with us in terms of steering volunteers their way, really looking at, because they understand that this is the way to change what's happening within their talent pipeline. This is the chance to really start understanding that Gen X, to looking at that digital generation and understand what they're thinking, how they're working on things, what are the problems that matter to them. And our students. And I think that is one of the most exciting things, is the teams themselves coming up with ideas. If you've been here last summer when we were at the Barbican and we had teams as young as 12 years old presenting their ideas, and watching people like the CFO from Barclaycard jumping to his feet, watching the global head of technology from Thomson Reuters sidling alongside me saying, I'm really sorry, we kind of want to give prizes to 2 teams, not just 1. Having people saying, we want to take another app to market because it is so amazing. Because you do have a generation who are hungry to do this, who do want to engage, that when given the opportunity to really put their hands around something and do it themselves and become creators, leap up to do so. Now, it's a fast-growing movement. We began 2 years ago in 2 London schools and in a community centre with just 47 students. We've grown by 10,000% now. We now are up and down the country. We've even gone as far north as Wick, Scotland. That's as far as I can figure you can go before you start falling into ocean and getting very cold and dark. We're looking at, what I like about the statistics is to look at the number of women. You know as well as I do, less than 14% of the profession in technology are female. What we have is 41% of young people who are engaging this on every point of this course. We're looking not just at your privileged, white, middle-class students. We're above average in terms of free school meals, looking at ethnicity, really starting to change a generation going through. We're beginning recruitment for the next year, and the numbers just keep growing. Now, in talking about that, it's all very well for me to say, but really, I think in true Apps for Good style, what we'd really want to do to come to life is to look at someone who has come through Apps for Good on one of our courses and then go on to another course that we really love working with, Freeformers. So we thought we'd bring along Gintaré to talk to you next.
Thank you. So hello everybody, my name is Gintaré and I came here to share my personal story. And my story begins from this big question: what would you do if you were not afraid? This question, I was asking myself this question a lot of times in my life when I had to make difficult decisions. And my recent answer to it was a win in a Facebook World Hackathon where Quote Melody, the app which I created with my colleague, won Best Open Graph App Award. So Facebook Hackathon is a huge worldwide event where best developers come together to compete and build something amazing. And me and my colleague, we just wanted to register for it, just to see what is it about and just to try our skills for fun. By the way, like button was also built in a Facebook Hackathon. So yeah, we didn't even dream about winning it because there were around 200 other professional developers, and I myself started to code just a few months ago, and my first encounter with digital happened at one of Apps for Good courses where I met really visionary people from tech industry and I learned how basic HTML code works. And afterwards I enrolled to intense 5 days Freeformers bootcamp where I was taught to very rapidly use available tools, and I built my first app in 2 days. And since then I was so much encouraged to develop, to build things myself and to do stuff myself, that tech and coding became my everyday interest, job, and a hobby as well. Also, I came to London just 2 years ago. I came from Lithuania and I could barely speak in English. So you can imagine that tech and coding was like the last thing which I could imagine to happen to me. So what code means to me now? First of all, my ideas happen straight away. So I don't have to wait for tomorrow. I don't have to wait until I get a degree. And I don't have to wait for somebody's permission. If I'm interested in some kind of project, I can find tools myself, I can learn it myself, and I can build it straight away myself and launch it as well. At the same time, I don't have to worry about getting a job anymore. Every business, for profit or non-profit, needs a website, an application, or social media channel, or some creative idea to drive consumers to the product. And at the same time, as everybody in this conference already mentioned, there is a huge demand for people who have skills and also ability to really quickly learn and develop. So since I began to understand various APIs really well, since I understood how to mix code, how to find available tools and so on, I'm getting a lot of emails and questions from various people who want my collaboration on different projects, or just an advice, or just help with some code snippet. Also, I somehow feel that code breaks verticals, and as one of my mentors, Guy Fernando, says, code wins arguments. So I don't have to worry about my young age or previous experience anymore, because in the end of the day, every client wants a delivered product or completed task, not another brainstorm or meeting in his diary. And the most important thing to me is that since I got the skills, I feel that I can contribute to making the world a better place much easier. So if I'm interested in problem or issue, I can just start building solution myself today. Or I can find other people who are doing that, and I can help them to make it even quicker. So as you can see, tech skills and coding keeps me creative, it gave me freedom, and it also boosted my confidence. And I think this is the most important things for a happy individual. I also have to learn new things every day, which is really, really exciting. So here you can see the small snippet from Quote Melody. It's the app which we created at Facebook Hackathon and which won Best Open Graph App Award. And we are going to launch it in a few weeks on Kickstarter, so any help with publicity would be appreciated. And if you're interested to learn coding, I can help you, or if you're just interested in our app, you can contact me on arpit.london@gmail.com. And just to summarize, as you can see, the course like Apps for Good and especially Freeformers Bootcamp did a big influence to me. All these people who I met, I could develop myself much quicker and I could find my way much quicker. Now I'm sure what I want to do and where I want to go. Yeah, so thank you, and Debbie is going to finish our presentation.
Thank you so much. So you can see why I sometimes go around and say I feel like I've got one of the best jobs in the world. One of the things I love about working with Apps for Good is that we do work with young people like this every day. And what we do find is that given the opportunity, given the inspiration, given the chance to work with people from the real world, and then to really think that they can become creators, that they can learn those things themselves, not waiting to be fixed, not waiting to be taught, but to learn from themselves, genuinely exciting things happen. So there's a landscape coming. What you'll see is that groundswell. I think Schmidt, when he made his comment, and actually when the Secretary of State for Education last January said that IT was broken, I think they're only just catching up. I think what I'm seeing is a groundswell emerging, and there's a map emerging that we're trying to understand of organizations like ourselves who are beginning to really start getting in and realizing if you can just get with the young people, if you can just start working with the people who work with them, genuinely exciting things can happen. So whether it's working with people like DevCamp, whether it's working with people like Freeformers, then finding people like Gintere and those 5,000 other kids right now up and down the country are doing that. It's about opening their eyes, opening their doors, and connecting them to the opportunities that they can then take up. And then really just being careful to get out of the way and don't presuppose what they're going to do, because really they're just going to amaze us. So thanks very much for the opportunity. We're Apps for Good.